Yeah, so I decided I was too tired today to do anything because like my throat is sore and my body is as sore as it can be because I'm like an athlete of walking
Your
around.
voice sounds like you're holding your nose.
Yeah, I'm actually yeah, I'm kind of nasal, like my throat is a bit sore. But so the meta presentational things are sort of what interests me, like how what you're speaking about resembles what you're actually saying. Yeah. And so let's see, there's Amine did her new song Shimmy in the mold of Old Dirty Bastard. There's Dalco. I don't know what that is, but she's wearing a skirt. ContraPoints released a new video. I don't know when I'm gonna watch that. Apparently the pizza's here.
Isn't that home?
Grocery stores have the least profitable U.S. industries with waste collection, office supplies and stationery stores, retirement communities and assisted living, and beer, wine, and liquor stores. Yeah. Like metaphysically, I often think I often think that titles themselves, like in argument, um, while totals means it's kind of assigned. So as far as like connections work, you could say, oh, this is Tom's book, or in Japanese that would be Tom no Tom, or Book of Tom. like if I were to make an advocacy for a song, for instance, I see this generally just imprecise, non-accurate um, level where language inhabits, where you have to be a bit more, additive than just sort of descriptive to more additive than descriptive to like get it out to like describe this stuff, which is why like analysis is different from like mathematical analysis or logical analysis. That's my view of that stuff, and that's why we find entertainment informative. I look at like songs, and instead of being able to sort of say, oh, here's the bleeps and the bloops that were really nice sounding, the sort of each uh, and every successive bleep and bloop on the other, I feel as though, well, this bleep makes this bloop even harder to sort of interpret. It puts it in another light. And so, really, in general, this is me just saying I can listen to a really good song over and over and over again, like 20 times in a row, 20, 40, 60, 200, because it's sort of like telling me very new information, but also very streamlined information according to a very like broad set of ideas that the song is conveying with its very specific, very keyed in mood. And so that's what I see as the shortcoming of an analysis of climate change that only sort of like has advocacies or doesn't have advocacies. I understand like, reciprocality, you have to like sort of take a stand, but I feel like no one's always in that argumentative space. And in modern politics, you have to have a certain respect for just like um what is it called, sophistry. um you have to have a certain amount of respect for sophistry, not at an intellectual level, not at a rhetorical level, but a sort of intellectual human level. Like, you can't really argue with Trump, for instance, is a good example, which is why anyone who doesn't have a good bit of like respect for that, you know, sort of human dynamic, not Trump himself, I'd argue, but that human dynamic is a bit sort of closed minded and overly like professionally humanistic. A sort of humanism that's like just prim and proper, that I think is really uh uneducated as to like how most people think, because it assumes that thinking happens in like a galvanized state, which it does a lot, but it also happens a lot in a non galvanized state. It's just that you're much less likely to attribute this sort of insight to those states. And that's in general, I guess, my problem with most liberals. I feel like uh, Eric is a liberal. He's sort of, a centrist, neoliberal, argues against the term itself, which it's like, you have for one thing this sort of level of argument, the level at like Yale or whatever garbage debate sort of uh debate what do you call it, sanction place. Italy video going viral. Old man shouts about pasta. That's cool. So that sort of debate, Yale debate level, it's similar almost, but in a different tenor to the Hollywood level of things. Just like, oh, we know how to depict people. We know what Americans sympathize with in the media, which I'm glad is sort of modifying or dying out in a lot of respects, or just sort of like extremely watered down with like Avengers movies and uh, carried around in pure platitudes by people who get whatever amount of appreciation they can out of the movies, which I'm okay with. I sort of understand. I mean, I like stupid shit too. um I mean, you could argue everyone likes stupid shit, but when I go to that level, most people immediately say like, "No, I like smart stuff because their brains are stupid." Um, is that a Donald Trump line? I think. Hmm. It seems Tim Pool's brother, Christopher Pool, is raising money to sue Tim for stealing his brand. Does anyone have more details on this? Question for people freaking about Trump working on coronavirus stuff. What if it turns out this is the things he's actually really good at? Bet you'd look pretty silly. Yeah, it would be funny. Um, my Twitter account got locked for 12 hours because I posted screenshots of Jeffrey Epstein's black book. When you're worried about Republicans influencing the vote of Democrats, Bernie Sanders' wife went on Russian TV to explain why open primaries like the SC Democratic primary on Saturday are more democratic because they allow Republicans to vote for who the Democratic nominee should be. Sorry, Jane, this is just wrong. Angry face. That's John Cooper. Bill Kristol, Trump and his aides were obsessed. The Democratic candidates, Joe Biden. Sanders had the weakest outing, and in Oz, he tried to change the topic when Biden these are really badly cropped tweets. Bernie Sanders defended his controversial. He has opposed authoritarianism all over. This says by Florida. Yeah. Just retweeting Republicans. Oh, that's the irony. Yeah. But yeah, open primaries are good, I'd say. Question for people freaking out about Trump working on coronavirus stuff. Oh yeah. Oh shit, this is bad video. I'm making a video at 5 minutes of it is gonna be me going down to get pizza. Is this rambling? This is rambling. This is definitely rambling. So like, mm, I think in summation, because the video is already pretty long, it's gonna be. I have like 2 or 3 videos on back end, and I don't know if I'm gonna upload them. It's a sort of like just David Foster Wallace, House of Leaves bookending attempt. So like, what's really the grammar of actions, I guess. So if you say debate, for instance, what's the ways that debate sort of overstretches causation statistically? And you could test with statistics. You could see in real time how the answers are sort of changed, and you could adjust for that depending on what exactly you want to measure. And I think that sort of metatextual ergodic, uh, and it's metatextual ergodic in the way that, uh, different text crawls are, you know, emotionally compared to others. I don't know if it would be metatextual quite, because metatextual makes it intellectual. Ooh, so many words. Yeah. If you want, I, I think he hasn't. He hasn't. Wow, this is some interesting shit. There's like 31 million YouTubers. That's a lot of YouTubers. I feel like there's a certain shotgun thing to videos where it doesn't really matter whether they have like this much content. I think nowadays the sort of formula you want to demand is that, hmm, it's like differentiated. I guess my YouTube put out is complicated by the fact that I can't find many YouTube videos I particularly like consistently. So obviously then I'd be sort of negative towards like just dark videos. So I think like generally it's weird to sort of get the right length. Like I'm just thinking of this stuff like how much of speculation by people is just completely inopportune sort of procrastination, right? Like, if you're always going to be disagreeing with this or that on, let's say, climate change, and you're going to be arguing for this or that solution, which might be carbon reductive or carbon seductive, then you're not really coming at it from a principled standpoint. You're coming at it from the standpoint that expropriates it to your sort of line of principles, which I feel is an inorganic approach. You shouldn't approach things from a principled standpoint. I think you should just approach things from the standpoint of like figures other people can reference to. It's interesting because I have a certain skepticality for novelty. Like, I don't necessarily want to put out the good idea, but like, there's a special sort of spontaneity. I think anyone with like uh, a bit more of like just a fuck it attitude can put across, which like you and Eric don't have. And there's a certain like flagrancy that's necessary. I don't think it's captured. Like any system you do or don't work out or inside of, it it doesn't particularly matter as long as you can sort of, be flexible like a monkey around it. I guess that's the sort of words I want to put down. I guess they don't necessarily have to have a form around them. It's more important that they're the words. So stop